Welcome to the Municipality of South Dundas for its council meeting with his team, staff, and guests, media. Thanks everybody for coming for Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. I will call the meeting to order. I have a motion. Let it resolve that the May 14th council meeting of the Municipality of South Dundas now be opened at 6 p.m. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Number 3, confirmation of agenda. Any additions, deletions, amendments to tonight's agenda? Seeing none, I have a motion. Let it resolve that the Council of Municipality of South Dundas approve the agenda as presented. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none. Number 5, adoption of minutes. I have any errors or omissions to the regular council meeting of April 23rd? Seeing none, I have a motion to resolve that the minutes of the following meeting be adopted as presented. The regular meeting of April 23rd, 2025. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Okay, moving right into delegations. So tonight we have Kristen Mueller with us tonight that wants to discuss Huntington's Disease Awareness Month in South Dundas. Welcome to our council meeting. And go ahead and hit the button to turn your mic on, Kristen.
Thank you. Good evening, council, and to those watching. My name is Kristen Mueller, and I want to start off by asking you all a question. How familiar are you with Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS, or schizophrenia? You may know of them or even have personal experiences with one of them. I am one of the roughly 6,000 Canadians living with Huntington's disease, a rare disorder that is often referred to as having Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, ALS, and schizophrenia all at the same time. Often just referred to as HD, Huntington's disease is a rare neurodegenerative disorder that affects 1 in 7,000 Canadians. HD is caused when a gene called Huntington is mutated and becomes expanded. The gene codes for a protein that's also called Huntington. When the gene is mutated and expanded, the body makes too much of this protein, and the buildup of protein is what causes the breakdown of brain and nerve tissue. The genetic mutation that causes Huntington's is passed down from a parent to their child, and every child has a 50-50 chance of inheriting the gene. This impacts families for generations, causing long-term generational trauma. According to the Huntington Society of Canada, approximately 1 in 5,500 Canadians is at risk of inheriting the HD genetic mutation. Symptoms of Huntington's usually fall into 3 categories: physical, cognitive, and behavioral. Physical symptoms include impaired balance, muscle loss, and jerky movements that are called chorea. Cognitive symptoms include difficulty processing information, memory loss, and issues with decision making. Behavioral symptoms include irritability, mood swings, and depression. These aren't all of the possible symptoms, but provide a small glimpse into how traumatic of a disease Huntington's can be. Huntington's is a terminal condition, meaning that there is no cure. Any means of treatment is palliative in nature in hopes of symptom management. Currently, there is no way to slow down disease progression. Many studies are being done searching for a cure or potential treatment for Huntington's. So many resources are being focused on HD, and a cure or a treatment for Huntington's will unlock the path to treating or curing Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and ALS. A majority of studies focus on reducing the mutant protein, but the required amount of this protein is unknown. This becomes the downfall of many clinical trials. Huntington's has been a daily reality of mine for most of my life. My mom was officially diagnosed when I was around 2 years old, meaning that I only really never knew my mom as somebody who was sick. By the time I was 7, my mom became a resident in a long-term care home in Prescott. During her time living in long-term care, her sister, my aunt, was diagnosed with Huntington's as well. Early on February 19th, 2021, Huntington's disease had finally taken its toll on my mom. She had passed away just under 2 months away from her 59th birthday. Growing up, I continually witnessed how horrific Huntington's disease truly is. I both experience and witness what I call generational trauma. Generation after generation had to endure Huntington's, either being diagnosed themselves or witnessing disease progression in their family members. Many families, including mine, would refuse to bring out the trauma of Huntington's, and it then would become a taboo subject. I made it my mission to freely talk about Huntington's and bring it out from the shadows. My first step was to start seeing Dr. Mestre, a neurologist at the Civic Hospital in Ottawa, who specializes in Huntington's disease. He enrolled me in the world's biggest Huntington's disease observational study called Enroll-HD, which is the basis for many clinical trials. I also began the predictive genetic testing process at CHEO. In March 2022, I had my first genetic counseling appointment and then had my blood drawn at CHEO the next day. I didn't fit in the lab chair. Just over 3 years ago, on May 4th, 2022, I got the result that would change my life forever. My test result came back positive at 46 repeats, meaning I had the genetic mutation that causes Huntington's. It was now a waiting game to see when I would start developing symptoms. Huntington's disease had taken my mom away from me, and it was coming for me too. I wanted to try and help cure Huntington's. I told Dr. Mestre to make me his lab rat and put me in every clinical study I was eligible to participate in. I decided to be the best advocate I could be for Huntington's. I participated in 2 walks fundraising for the Huntington Society of Canada and went to their national conferences. I would talk about Huntington's to anyone who would listen. As some people may know, in September last year, I was in a severe car crash in Iroquois, and during my time recovering and with the help of so many people, especially Candace Latulip, we raised $3,000 for the Ottawa chapter of the Huntington Society. More recently, I realized that so many people were going into this journey blind and not knowing what to expect. I decided to create a blog online for all things Huntington's. I called it HD, It's Not High Def Anymore. When it comes to Huntington's, I'm an open book. If there's a question, I can answer it. If there's one thing I want everyone to take away from this, is that while Huntington's is extremely rare, those of us living with it are all over and are trying to spread awareness and answer questions. With it being May, and also Huntington's Disease Awareness Month, I now come to ask that Council join me in spreading awareness of this horrible terminal illness by officially recognizing May as Huntington's Disease Awareness Month in South Dundas. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kristen. Thank you for sharing your story. Nice. Stay there, Kristen. Maybe we might have some questions from the council team. I'm certainly going to support a resolution that we're going to have later to make May Huntington's month, and thankful that you were able to come tonight to share your story.
I just wanted to say, Mayor, I think that everyone who has Huntington's disease is very lucky to have you advocating for them, especially the youth. I'm very proud that you're here today to try and raise awareness, and you taught me a lot of things I didn't know, so thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, and I certainly agree with both the mayor and Councillor Ward. Sorry, I didn't quite catch your age. How old are you, young man?
22.
22, so you're the age of my daughter. So when I look at you and I see the smile on your face, that gives me encouragement that you're going to fight this as best as you can. So I'm in support of whatever we can do to help you do that. And if it's a little thing like, sorry, I don't mean to say a little thing, but a little thing for us to help you with a big thing, then yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I'll support that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and please keep us apprised of how you're doing. And I've seen you before, and we'll see you on the streets. And I hope you don't mind if we come up and ask and talk to you and make sure you're doing well and
Thank you.
seeing what you need. Because you know, I appreciate a fine young gentleman coming and making everybody aware.
Yeah, and any events that you're participating in, please let us know through myself or the clerk. You know, happy to attend events and be part of raising awareness to everybody in the community that what you're going through.
Thank you.
Councilor Smith?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, just thank you for your presentation tonight, and I've got 4 children myself, and they're all happy and healthy. In fact, I have a couple of them who are playing baseball here in town tonight, and I guess when you talk about the generational trauma and these sorts of things that you go through, I couldn't imagine the lives that, you know, your parents and grandparents and before that, you know, and things that happened to them that they didn't even know why or what it was or what was happening. And now, at least now with, you know, advances in medical technology and testing, we're able to at least start to figure out exactly, you know, how to treat this and what the next steps are moving forward. So I'm very glad that you're made yourself a guinea pig, I guess you'd call it.
Those were like the exact words I used with my neurologist at one of my first appointments, was just throw me in whatever study he can.
Yeah, so anyways, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kristen.
Thank you.
Clerk LeBrun?
Mayor Broad, I'm just wondering if we want to make just a small amendment to move up that notice of motion to before action requests, so that Mr. Mueller here can hear the resolution and doesn't have to stick around for the whole meeting.
Think we can do that? So, I have a resolution. Let it be resolved that the municipality of South Dundas Council recognize May as Huntington's Disease Awareness Month. Whereas Huntington's disease is a fatal genetic disorder that causes progressive breakdown of nerve cells, brain deterioration, and a person's physical and mental abilities during the prime working years. And whereas there is currently no effective treatment or cure to Huntington's disease, but the dedicated work of researchers, medical professionals, and the advocacy of organizations continue to bring hope and for breakthrough therapies. And whereas the Huntington Society of Canada is the premier nonprofit organization dedicating to improving the lives of everyone affected by Huntington's disease through community service, education, advocacy, and research. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the South Dundas Council hereby recognize May as Huntington's Disease Awareness Month in South Dundas. The council encourages all residents to learn about Huntington's disease and support the individuals and families affected by this condition. And the South Dundas Council is calling upon public officials, educators, healthcare professionals, and all residents of South Dundas to observe the month. Appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Moved by Deputy Mayor St. Pierre. Seconded by Councilor Ward. All in favor? Carried. There you go, Christian. It's officially Huntington Awareness Month in South Dundas in the month of May.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, 7A, action requests. TS 2012-05 sidewalk replacement tender award, Director of Transportation, Jeff Hyman.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So in front of you, you'll find the tender results for the sidewalk replacement and repair tender, which was issued through bids and tenders. So during council, or during budgets this year, I presented the plan for the sidewalk replacements and repair within South Dundas, specifically drawing attention to Brinston. This year's plan identified Gilmer Road on the north side from County Road 16 to the Brinston Park entrance, and on the south side, County Road 16 to the church parking lot to be removed and replaced with the standard 1.5 meter wide walking surface. I would like to draw your attention to number 2, right below. So in addition to the tendered scope of work, there will also be three catch basins or storm drains, which will need to be relocated, shift a little closer to the center of the road to accommodate for the new sidewalk to be installed. The drains will be done in-house through our municipal staff. This year we had 13 bids. a great turnaround for contractors looking for work. We as the municipality, we have not worked with Avion Construction Group, who was the low bid. So part of their tender document was they had to supply 3 references of the same scope of work. So I followed up with those references, hearing back from 2 of the 3, all saying that they did good work. And the question asked was, would you work with this company again? And both of them replied yes, that they would work with this company again. So in front of you, with the pricing, there was $114,000 budgeted for this year's capital works, and this came in at $43,431 with 20 cents, including net HST, and the additional work at an estimated cost of $3,000. So I can answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Oh, excellent, and I appreciate your due diligence on the follow-ups with the new contractor to make sure the references check out, so appreciate that, and we certainly enjoy having competition when it comes to bidders. Helps the pricing on that side. Any questions or comments? All right, seeing none. Motion to resolve the Council of Municipality of South Dundas award the tender TS 2502 for the sidewalk replacement and repair to Avian Construction Group in the amount of $42,680 plus HST, and that the Director of Transportation and Clerk be authorized to sign all necessary documents to give effect to this contract. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. FS 2025-07 Fire Service Forestry Truck Tender Award. Director of Fire Emergency Services, Chief Jeremy Eldred Hughes. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you and council. For you is the recommendation for the tender award for the forestry truck that we just recently tendered for. So this is part of the replacement for the truck that was removed from service last August. So through the process, we did have 3 bidders. These are strictly on stock units. And the one that came through that met our needs and was closest to our approved budget line was option 1.
Very good. Thanks, Chief. A little bit over budget, but win some, we lose some, I guess, on the tendering process. Questions, comments? Councillor Vino?
Yep, through your merit. Just one question, because we got the pictures as a sidebar, and I just want to know, like, does that include everything, like, delivered, or is there going to be, like, more to come for wrapping it? Because I noticed it was white or anything like that. Or is this all said and done?
So it's, through you, Mr. Mayor, it's everything we see there. So the only thing that it doesn't include that we weren't planning on was a red wrap for it. When talking with the manufacturers, there's something happening right now with that fire red paint. So everybody's getting white trucks right now. To do a bottom wrap on that is about $2,500, and it would match the rest of our fleet with the white top. So that's something that we could either do right away, or we could defer and do that next year. It's just a wrap.
Okay, all right.
Very good. Questions or comments? Thank you for that, Chief. Have a motion, let it resolve the council approve the purchase of the fire forestry truck through Frontline Emergency Vehicles for a total cost of $139,800 plus applicable tax, and that the fire chief be authorized to sign the necessary documents to procure the truck. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Seven C, CS 2025-13, support for Morrisburg Cenotaph Project. CEO Ben Dodd.
Thank you. I guess this is my first
welcome.
official report presented to council. So
You visited a meeting, you went on vacation for a meeting.
that's right.
Now you're
That's
here.
right. Yeah. So glad to be here. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So we had a presentation from the Morrisburg Veterans Walkway Project Committee, or the Cenotaph Committee, several weeks ago, and they proposed a quite ambitious and exciting project for the waterfront. So this is essentially a report recommending support of that project. One thing that's been identified in the resolution, just want to bring that to council's attention, is we've included a maximum financial donation just to provide some certainty in the 2026 budget. That number is based on what the estimated cost as provided by that committee was to staff. So we think that that's a reasonable approach to it, and they were in support of us kind of documenting that, because if we just left it to the electrical lighting, it's a little bit of a moving target depending on what that could look like. So at least this provides some certainty to the municipality. And then any shortfall, if there is a shortfall, we'd look to continuing the fundraising efforts to try and make up that shortfall. So see this as all part of the project. So with that, I'll leave it with council to consider the resolution and action request.
Yeah, very good, thanks, Hugh. Very similar to what we did the Williamsburg Cenotaph 2 years ago. We put 50 or 20,000 in that budget and fundraised against that as well, so it may not be end up in that. Any questions or comments at this point? Councillor Smith?
Yeah, through you, Mayor Broad, so I just was curious, so is this, the Morrisburg Waterfront Committee has a budget of 25,000 a year in your, like the same as what Iroquois had, is that correct? So is this money in addition to the 25?
Yeah, this is
Or
for,
is this going to be,
this is for the Cenotaph.
so it's,
Yeah.
so there's still gonna be, next year, there'll still be 25,000 allotted to the Morrisburg Waterfront Committee plus the 25,000 for this, okay, I just wanted to,
Correct.
to verify exactly how it was working, so, okay.
Councillor Ward?
Thank you, Mayor. So this is might be a strange question, so through you to the CAO. Does this become a municipal asset, or does it remain with federal, like, with Veterans Affairs? Just out of curiosity, like, does that become our infrastructure?
I'm assuming it is at our other Cenotaphs.
I
It's on
think
our
so.
property,
Yeah,
so,
I think,
yes.
I think so.
Yeah, I was just going to say, through you, Mr. Mayor, I guess the
Yeah.
ownership wouldn't be any different than it is today, but
Okay.
like truthfully, are we the owners of those memorials and cenotaphs?
Yeah.
I don't,
I don't know that.
that's a
why.
great question. That's a really good question.
Councillor Vino?
Through your mayor, as I'm on the waterfront committee and I've been involved in this since day one, the ownership doesn't change. There's some questions being risen right now about the guns. So the guns have a little different ownership and different rules as to what the military would allow us. Right now, we have permission to keep the big gun that's down at the dock there. So they have control over that, and we have to get permission to move it. But everything else, from what I gather, stays with the current ownership. So we maintain the grass around them and whatnot, but clearly they maintain the cenotaph itself. Like major maintenance, we do general upkeep, make sure it's not covered in cobwebs and stuff, but it should remain very much the same as it is now.
Very good. Okay. So I have a motion, let it be resolved, the council of Dundas approves the Morrisburg Veterans Walkway Project and conceptual design as previously presented by the Morrisburg Cenotaph Committee, and the council will include a maximum of $25,000 commitment in its 2026 budget towards the electrification and lighting, and the staff are directed to work with the community to facilitate the project banking and charitable tax receipts through the municipality. And then municipality of South Dundas act as the lead applicant on the funding application to Veterans Affairs Canada Community War Memorial Program. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Smith. All in favor? Carried. Seven D, CS 2025-14, support for protected pedestrian crossings on County Road to Iroquois. CO DeHaan.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor, it feels very ironic to be on the other side of this request this time around, but here we are. So to be able to install protected crossings across county roads, the county's pedestrian crossing policy, which I'm very familiar with, does require a resolution of support from council to demonstrate, council's support of the project itself. So as council is aware, we've had some discussions regarding pedestrian crossings through Iroquois as the Valecraft subdivision is continued to be developed, and some other development opportunities are happening on the north side of County Road 2. In addition, with the recent development of the gas station, et cetera, there's a lot more foot traffic that's traveling north from the plaza parking lot or from the community itself, quite frankly, up to that site. And so we are proposing a second protected crossing because the protected crossing at Rooney Street won't be able to accommodate that pedestrian traffic crossing north. So what we're proposing here is 2 protected crossings in the location shown on the report. The location that would be going to the gas station, that would be funded through the Iroquois project. We did talk to Ross Video, who has continued to express an interest in installing a protected crossing north of or across County Road 2, but their focus is really on their property that is in the northeast corner of County Road 2 and County Road 1. So that's where they see future development, which isn't on the radar in the short term, from what I gather, but you know, more in the medium term. And at that point, they're certainly very supportive of installing a protected crossing in the appropriate location there, just to protect their staff as they move between the 2 sites. So that's where we are today, and we'll look forward to council's comments and hopeful support of this resolution.
Questions from council team? Councilor Vino.
Through you, Mayor. I support the resolution for sure. I just have a couple questions because I don't know, and I suspect you do. On the Miller Street crossing there, where there's a small section of, I guess, our sidewalk, does the municipality have any policies or anything for sidewalks? Because I mean, that's going to be a busy crossing to get over to the protected crosswalk over the counties. So is the one on Elizabeth. Like, I'm just curious if we have any, like, does there have to be lines? Does there have to be anything there? And then my second question is the protected crossing that goes across the proposed new protected crossing? Obviously there's a new development going up there now, but do crosswalks have to go to another sidewalk? Like, if they start on this sidewalk on the south side of the road, and then we're going to walk across, and then does it just dump people out over there, or will there be a sidewalk on that side of the road now?
So they don't technically, sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll kind of go backwards from the questions that were asked. They don't necessarily have to dump out onto a dedicated sidewalk. We can have an area that it extends to. That being said, my expectation is we'd look to some kind of landing area there to make sure that the push button is out of the way of any kind of operation and maintenance activities that would be taking place. So that's a consideration we need to look at as we refine the details. There is, for it to be a protected crossing per the Ontario Traffic Manual, you do have to have this very specified signage in advance of the crossing, as well as paint marking at the crossing and just before the crossing. So there's a whole bunch of regulated and legislated things that we do have to provide. The sidewalks that are shown, those are drawn from the Iroquois redevelopment or rehabilitation tender that's closing actually next week. So that's what will be constructed. So some of the stuff that we see there obviously is not there right now, but that's the preliminary layout of how that'll look. And then as we get to the site, we kind of field fit things and make sure it complies with the right kind of widths and layouts and whatnot. So I hope that answers your questions. I don't know if there's any that I might have missed as I went backwards through that.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Broad. Just to add on to what the CAO was saying about the crosswalks, it's not a one-fit-all as well. Different crosswalks depends on the different classification of the road and traffic volumes and whatnot. Some have wing longs, some have lights, some is just pavement markings and whatnot. I do agree with the councillor. I think on that north side we should develop a pedestrian refuge area just for people standing there waiting for the traffic to actually stop for them. Question I had though specifically for the Valcraft piece and I do recall in their transportation study, their traffic study, that they had this crossing identified as a need for the subdivision. The one to the east, they've got a road connection to the east. Is that triggering, is their development triggering 2 crossings or just one?
I don't have the answer to that.
Okay.
I'll have to look at that.
Okay, and on top of that, I guess it would be if it triggers 2, then with their development being phased, when would that trigger if it triggers the second crosswalk?
Yeah, and that potentially comes out directly across from the high school. Correct. Where people from the subdivision might, the public school as well, would traverse that way. Very good. Good question. Very good. Any other questions, comments? Councillor Smith?
Through you, Mayor Broad, if we support this right now, this resolution, what would be a timeline for getting this crosswalk put in, like the first one?
We anticipate, in speaking with Director Jensen, we will be looking at the installation coincidental with the redevelopment of the plaza. So when that work is taking place, we'll see this, make sure the underground and all that infrastructure is in place to be able to support it. So we see it kind of coincidental with that work for that crossing, and make sure we have all the necessary infrastructure in place for the Vailcraft crossing. Back to the deputy mayor's point, like the trigger point for when it actually gets installed may depend on like a development threshold in the subdivision itself. So that second crossing at Rooney Street may happen in the future, but we want to make sure we've got everything in place to be able to install it quickly whenever that time is met.
Dr. Hyman?
So just a little bit more context to what Director DeHaan was, or CAO DeHaan was referencing, sorry. The sidewalk that's going to run parallel with County Road 2 from essentially Elm to Rooney, that will be on the north side only. So it'll pass in front of the hotel or the motel that's there. So that'll be their way out, following east to west on the north side to Rooney Street. And then the pedestrian crossing will be there at Rooney. Now Vailcraft is talking 2026 to have their portion of sidewalk from Billings going north into the new subdivision. So we're not technically on a time constraint for that new section of sidewalk from County Road 2 into Billings, but that was their plans initially, was the sidewalk was going to be on the north side, which would eliminate that crosswalk at Elm. So just a little context for that.
Dr. Mayor?
Yeah, so you're saying that definitely there's no two crosswalks? Because my understanding when the hat I was wearing at the previous place, I thought there was recommendation of two crosswalks.
So through you, Mayor Broad, right as of now, there's not there's discussions, but there's no plan firm on paper right now for that second crosswalk on Elm, because then there's a whole nother batch of infrastructure that we would have to put a sidewalk on Elm, and we haven't had that discussion.
Two different questions.
Sorry, we're asking two different questions. All I'm asking is there a trigger for the two crosswalks? Not really timing or anything like that, but I'm just wondering if there was an actual trigger that eventually Vailcraft needed to install two crosswalks. That's what I was just asking.
Yeah, I think we should go back and
Yeah, okay.
just to
Yeah.
get a better understanding of if that was triggered or how that was mitigated.
Yeah, okay, but I understand what you're saying as well, Jeff, and I appreciate that context, thanks.
Yeah, to go back to answer some of Councillor Smith's questions, my expectation is that one of these are installed in 2025. Okay, so that was, to answer your question directly, yeah, there's more moving parts and all that, but yeah, it's in 2025. Yeah.
That's where I was
Yeah.
trying to get to, is there
Yeah,
going to be at least one
yeah,
in
certainly the
there this
one,
fall?
if
Yeah.
you think about the one on Miller Street, that's the one that,
Yeah.
they're gonna be moving in here in the summertime to the
Yeah.
fall, into the permit, so that'll be good on that one, and then
Yeah.
when we get to the other one further to the east,
Yeah.
when Valcraft start opening up, we'll have that one in place, yeah, for sure. But that'll be good, for that one, students can travel down the sidewalk and just cross over right next to the gas station, so, yeah. Okay, resolution, let it resolve that the council supports the installation of two protected crossings on County Road 2 in Iroquois, specifically at the intersections of Rooney Drive and County Road 2 and Miller Street and County Road 2. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. Bylaws. A, 2025-38 Ferguson Municipal Drain. Oh, Deputy Treasurer Sean Mason is with us tonight.
Thank your worship. The three bylaws on the agenda this evening are to assess out drain maintenance costs, which were, and the drain maintenance was completed in 2023. The OMAFRA drainage costs, drainage grants were received the last week of March and have been applied against the eligible agricultural assessments. The invoices will be mailed out within the next week and will have a due date of July 31st. I can take any questions that council may have. Thank you.
So any questions on any of the three drains? So we have 2025-38 Ferguson, 2025-39 Mitchell, and 2025-40 Thorpe Ellis. Very good. So 3 motions, so I'll read all 3. Let it resolve that the Council Municipality of South Dundas adopt bylaw 2025, being a bylaw to assess the maintenance costs for the Ferguson municipal drain. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Resolve Municipality of South Dundas adopt bylaw 2025-39, being a bylaw to assess the maintenance cost of the Mitchell municipal drain. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. And 2025-40, being a bylaw to assess the maintenance costs of the Thorpe Ellis municipal drain. Councillor Vino, Deputy Mayor St. Pierre, all in favor? Carried. Boards and committees. Okay, starting off with the library board. Meeting was held on April 24th. I was in the lovely village of Avonmore. Started off with our book review. This is Going to Hurt, a book by Dr. Adam Kay. So we had a great discussion on that. And the next book we're going to read as part of our book club is Animal Farm. So appropriate timing with the political world to read that book. Otherwise, in the library board itself, a lot of consent items that we reviewed, and we did discuss some of them from the statistical summaries for quarterly and overall circulation, the financial reports to date, the year-end unaudited data, the communication marketing report, and then the director of library services report. We also discussed the unattended child policy within the library, because we have rules of kids under the age of 12 and over the age of 12. And we also reviewed the code of conduct policy. These are all things that in a 4-year term, we review all the policies. So part as being a library branch in Ontario, those are things we do. So those are two policies we reviewed. We did also review our engagement survey. So we did send out a survey through all of the members of the library, all the library card owners, I guess you would say. And we had great response from South Dundas, and had some interesting data to share on how much use of this, and it really was a good way for us to start to think about our strat plan and how we get further engagement. So I think the data was really well, and our library showed up very well for how much use it's getting and the service they're getting, et cetera. So that was good news. We did have a partnership with the Nation. The Nation closed their 3 libraries. We had an agreement with the Nation. I think we only had like 1 person from the Nation use our library free of charge. So we just ended the partnership, and then if anybody wants to join our library, they're free to do so. So otherwise, that was it. And otherwise, exciting on Tuesday, Deputy Mayor, we're going to announce the author of SDG Reads at our council meeting in Cornwall Tuesday. So I know you'll be excited to see who the author is for 2025 on that one. Border Mayor Alliance, so I actually had 2 meetings, one 2 weeks ago and one today. Not a whole lot specifically happening the last couple of weeks, just with the election. But continued, obviously the tariffs on the cars is a hot topic, but we did have today, we had 2 guest speakers. One was from the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, and we talked a lot about where we're at with the tariffs and where things are going with the current opportunities and the deals that are being made. But we had an opportunity to look at all the business data. So clearly we could see how much trade Ontario has or specific regions have with U.S. regions, which is really good data that we could start to use in the future. Maybe South Dundas, but certainly as SD&G when we think about all of the industries we do have throughout. So it's good data that we could use on that front. So continue to advocate. We did then have a second guest speaker, John O'Leary, that was just taking us through some training opportunities on how we can engage the current government to help with any of our needs. So that was quite interesting. So it's great to continue to have that. And then more specifically, how we can reach out with the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure, because that's a key one that's going to fall on the federal one that overlaps with provincial, right? A lot of ministries necessarily don't overlap, but that one does. So that was the update on the Border Mayors Alliance. Also had a Rideau St. Lawrence Holdings distribution meeting last week, a strat plan day. Spent a whole day with facilitator Eric Lockhart. He's experienced with LDCs, so local distribution companies. So we went through kind of where our business environment was as it continues to change, both from a customer's request, but also from a regulatory request. Regulations become more and more strict, which just add more costs within into the holdings company. So that's one reason why we wanted to get our board of directors together. So we came out with a statement. We're going to continue our current direction on the core LDC while developing our non-core businesses in 4 areas. So there's, we do lighting and we do other activities, but we want to really expand on those services because we have the staffing in place and, we're contracting out some things. If we could get more business in the area, we could have a full-time on staff for the same price as maybe the contracting. So that would just create more profit for the holdings company, which would give us more shareholder return. So things we're going to continue to work on: cost of service applications. So every 5 years, we have to apply to the provincial government on what the rates will be. So that's obviously a big thing. But then infrastructure investments, non-core business development, and then staff development and succession planning. So those are things like we have an engineer looks after all our GIS for us. So as we'd like to train somebody in-house to do that kind of work. So that's the kind of succession planning. So lots going on. And then the user agreement that we passed a few meetings ago, that's circulated through all the municipalities. So that's coming to a wrap. So that's where we're at with Rideau St. Lawrence. Youth Working Group. Councillor Ward, did you have a meeting or no? You did not have a meeting, okay. And in the Economic Development Committee meeting, we ended up not with enough quorum. We had a lot of members at the last minute have issues with arriving, so we canceled the meeting and we'll rebook in a couple weeks the Economic Development Committee meeting. There was, I know I'm missing one here. I skipped ahead. The Dundas Archives meeting. So we did have a working group meeting on Monday with the CAOs, clerks, and mayors. We gave a facility tour. That was the first time CEO Mueller from North Dundas had a chance to see the archives. Just reviewed where we're at year to date on the budget. Talked about our MOUs and then the agreement with North Dundas, South Dundas. The 5 years on the current agreement has expired, so it's time for us to just review the agreement. So we just started to discuss about those. And we're still trying to plan an open house. We did have one planned, if you remember, last October that we had to cancel, but we're planning to hold an open house. And some of the thoughts was when Director Jansen kind of gets some of the construction work done on the youth hub, is have it around that same time, so it's nice and neat, and we could have also an area where we could have drinks or a meeting place too as well. So we're going to tie that together with that. So that was it on the archives. Okay, under consent agenda, any other meetings that I missed? No South Station? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I did a recap of the April South Nation meeting or not. I'm not sure I did. So there was, one of the things that they've been doing is setting up a multi-year partnership with St. Lawrence Parks Commission. They're setting up a memorandum of understanding right now regarding, especially around like Riverside Cedar Campground. They mow a lot of grass down there, and so they're looking to plant a lot of trees for 2 reasons. Number one, as those trees grow and mature, it's less grass to mow, which is less cost, but also more like walking trails, so like more activities for people to do. So it's trying to do 2 things with that. So that's, of course, that's a long-term thing because it'll be, how long do you get that'll be a 20-year down the road thing. So there was a engineering assessment out to tender for rehabilitation work on the Chrysler Dam. And another thing that they did was they're doing GPS mapping of all South Nation trails that there are in all of their conservation areas. And they are going to be uploading all that information to the All Trail app that you can download on your smartphone. And I didn't even know what All Trail app was, so I had to go download it myself and look at it. And so you can, if you're a explorer by nature, you can find pretty much every trail throughout North America. And if you want to just go on a hike or make it part of a vacation, you can just stop in and you can tell where they are, which ones are free, which ones you have to pay to go to, what they have for services there. And so now South Nation is going to be a part of that. So I thought that was pretty cool. So.
Well, it sounds like between hockey and ball season, you can take up some trail walking.
Take up hiking, yeah.
Take up some hiking. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, you know, and one thing we talked about, we should revisit that. We talked about doing some planting at the landfill to prop some of the land. Probably we should on the trees. So we should follow back up and maybe at the South Nation see if we could, bring that back to the table. Could save us cutting some grass over there. That was remember we, yeah. Okay. Consent agenda. A, update Q1 2025 capital projects. B, Q1 2020 variance reports. C, KR radio communications update. D, KR 2025 leaf and yard waste days. E, resolution City of Stratford, opposition of the strong mayor's powers. F, resolution Town of Parry Sound, call for inclusive research to reflect diversity of Canadian communities. And G, resolution Champlain Township, surveillance and monitoring of heavy vehicles, Ontario. I have a motion, let it to be resolved that all the items on the consent agenda be adopted as presented. Moved by Councillor Vino, seconded by Councillor Ward. All in favor? Carried. Okay, discussion items. Development charges. CO DeHaan.
Thank you, and I'm taking this one for our planner, who is unfortunately not here this evening. But I guess really what I wanted to do with council, I know at the last meeting there was a desire to continue the dialogue. Of course, if you've watched the news this week, there's exciting changes from the provincial government as it relates to development charges. So please don't ask me on that, because that's still I think even those that are really in the know with development charges are still trying to assess and understand that. But we have already asked our Watson and Associates to provide some updates to us whenever they're here next week? Yeah, next week, Tuesday, and provide a little bit of context based on their best understanding of where that is. But ultimately, what the purpose of this report is just to, see if there's any outstanding issues that council wants us to ensure are addressed during that public meeting. And we'll look forward to having that public meeting next week, Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm looking forward for the public meeting as well. We've taken feedback through some emails, phone calls, but also at the trade show. We had an opportunity to chat with some folks on that as well. So I'll be really interested to see the stakeholders piece and then on the community side for sure on that. Questions on it? I know we've talked in the last few meetings, but CEO DeHaan wanted to make sure we weren't missing nothing leading into next week. I think we're all safe and clear. Okay, that's excellent. Okay. Moving along, ratification bylaw. To be resolved that bylaw 2025-41 being a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with resolution be read and passed in open council, signed and sealed. Moved by Councillor Ward, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. And a motion to adjourn. Let it resolve the council adjourn the meeting to call of the chair at 6:48 p.m. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Vino. All in favor? Carried. So as we bring the meeting to a close for Wednesday, May the 14th, two items of discussion. The Chamber of Commerce hosted a trade show last weekend, which was well attended. And thank you to all the vendors that showed up. Thank you to the staff and the council team that were around for different times of the event. We were able to chat with the residents, and certainly thank all the residents for participating in that. And it's a great opportunity for us to chat with residents. And lastly, I want to thank Kristen Mueller for coming tonight and sharing with us his disease, Huntington's disease, and making us aware of that. And I was proud that we could make a resolution to make May Huntington Disease Awareness Month on his behalf. So thank you for bringing that forward, Kristen, and all the best to you, and look forward to seeing you again. With that, we'll say goodnight.